Welcome to the Confident Dad podcast. So glad to have you with us today. My name's Dan Tinquist, your host, and it is a privilege to be with you today. We'll begin this episode like we do every single episode, reminding ourselves what's true about fatherhood or what we want to be true about our fatherhood journey. Say it with me. I'm the only one who can fulfill the father role I have, so I choose to do it well. I get to show up well for my kids. Imperfection is reality. Ownership is a choice. Today is brand new, and so is tomorrow. I am wholly loved, so I will love wholly. Today in the equipping section, I want to help you understand your gifts as an executive leader. What kind of skills does it take to be that kind of person? And how do those skills apply to parenting? Most of the time, people assume that those are two separate skill sets. And so then you can only really be good at one. You'll either be a really good parent and at work, you won't really advance. You can't climb the ladder. You can't become the CEO or the president or whatever of your company because I'm a really good dad. So I can't actually do the things in the business. And then some people would assume that like, I'm going to focus on my career. I'm going to get really, really good. And I'm going to execute on all the skills. I'm going to hone those really, really well and become efficient and time managed and everything so that I can climb the ladder and get as high as I can, make as much money and build this empire. And, you know, my kids can get the leftovers and that's okay. I'm here to tell you that the skills it takes to be a quality executive are the same skills it takes to be a quality dad. I've had several people talk to me about like, well, I mean, like, I'm a good dad. I have it together and I don't need to work with you. It's like, actually, I only work with good dads. I don't work with crappy dads who don't care because the dads that I work with are the ones that care about the results. And so if we start at the end and we say, what does it look like to have a relationship with your kids when you're 75 and their kids and their significant others and their families? Like, what does it take to get to that point? Similar to in business, if you look down the road and you think, how am I going to get to a place where I can build a legacy and hand this off to my kids someday? It requires a lot of thinking, dreaming, planning, and executing. And the same thing is very, very true in the parenting realm. So how can you lean on your executive skill set in order to perform at the highest level possible as a dad? That's what I'm teaching people. That's how I'm helping my clients achieve the results they're achieving. It's almost like one of my clients said, I've developed a CRM for parenting. Being able to track and measure the quality of the connection with your kids, the amount of times you've had touch points throughout the week. What are you talking about? What's happening in those moments? And if you know anything about a CRM, having a really high quality CRM is what drives results and what drives conversions. Now here, we're not looking for conversion with our kids. We're looking for connection, but the same thing that drives conversion actually can drive connection. Because why do people want to buy from you? Why do they want to have your product in their life? Is because you're solving a problem. You're making their life better. You're doing the things for them they don't feel like they can do for themselves. And you're offering them a service that makes a big difference in their lives. Don't you think that same kind of thing can happen within your family? With the relationships that you have with your kids? Can you create buy-in with your kids the same way that you create buy-in with your customers? The more authentic you are with your customers, the better they like you, know you, trust you, want to understand that like this is a good quality business. You think about like the best businesses you can think of that everyone knows, likes, and trusts, and they have a quality reputation. Why don't we spend any energy developing the same quality reputation within our family? To say, I know my dad I can trust him. I know that I can come to him with the hardest, most difficult things in my life because he's a trustworthy guy. Is that who you want to be? How do we take these executive skills and apply them to parenting? I can teach you exactly how to do that within my course. Let's talk about expectations. Okay, that's the first thing I want to cover today is expectations. When you are a manager or a trainer and you're working in your office and you meet with adults who are brand new to something, you probably have childlike expectations for them. You're like, hey, you're going to come in here. You don't know anything. I'm going to have to show you multiple times, and hopefully you can catch up and we'll get there. But it starts with childish expectations, and those expectations rise as the employee performs and learns and grows. And then at home, sometimes we come home with fumes and we're exhausted, and we have adult level expectations for our kids, even though they're in the same position as the employee, where you're just, they've never done it before. They're learning a new thing, and yet we expect them to figure it out right away. So when we talk about expectations, sorry for those of you watching, there was a little bit of a gap here in my recording opportunity because I am a dad and I have life interruptions. So anyway, continuing on, talking about expectations, can we change our expectations at home to become childlike expectations for our children, just like we have childlike expectations for trainees on the job? The next executive leadership skill that I want to talk about, that I think if we start applying that into parenting, it can change the game. And what it is talking about growth and being okay with failure and moving through that failure and that struggle towards a place of growth. We understand as leaders, like, we can't have it all together. We can't always be killing it at 100%, but we try really hard. And the smartest and most wise leaders and executives, they understand that facing their failures and facing their shortcomings is the best way to move forward. The best leaders and CEOs have coaches because they know that even as self-aware as they possibly can be, they don't know all of the blind spots that they're carrying. And so they hire a coach, and they understand, I'm going to pay someone to tell me what am I struggling with so that I can continue to move the needle forward, knowing that you have things that are holding you back that you're not even aware of. And so how can we use this leadership skill of growth and moving through mistakes and through failure to become stronger and seeing that resistance as your friend in parenting? How do we use that in parenting? Well, I would say join our community. I would love to have an opportunity to coach you through your blind spots and help you understand, like, what are the things getting in the way of your connections at home? It's often few simple things, just like in executive leadership. There's a few simple things that if you tweak here, here, and here, you're going to see the numbers move in the right direction. And I'll say, in my experience, there's been a few things we tweak here, here, and here. A lot of times mindset stuff, little habits here and there that start to change the game for how dads are showing up for their kids. And so are you willing to be humble? Are you willing to ask for help? If you're willing to ask for help as an executive and pay someone thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to be in a mastermind and unlock the things that are going to become ROI in your pocket, are you willing to say, I'm not a perfect dad and there's some things I need to unlock to have immeasurable ROI within my relationships? Yeah, you can't measure the metric in a relationship. I get it. It's super intangible. There's not a really easy way to do it. I've developed an app within an app to track that so that you can have at least a little bit of a handle on how well you're showing up for your kids and when you're showing up for your kids. But it's not like a spreadsheet or a profit loss statement that all of a sudden you're like, I see this ROI is huge because I spent 25 grand on a mastermind for my business. The idea is, can you confidently say that my trajectory of fatherhood and relationship is getting stronger and healthier, and I feel better when I go home and spend time with my kids? I'm more content with them. There's less arguing. There's more buy-in. There's more compliance. And it's not because you're commandeering everything and controlling everything. It's because you're actually showing up and being the dad that your kids need. Because when you learn about your kids and what they need, and when you learn how to show up in a way that meets those needs, it changes everything. It changes how they show up to you. It changes the relationship. It strengthens those bonds, and it helps you become a safe place for your kids. May I argue, there's not much that's more important than being a safe place for your kids to process the deep, hard, and joyful things of life. I was just talking to a dad a few days ago who was talking about, I know that my kids trust my wife and I, but I think that I'm kind of always the last one. And I don't like that. And I don't want to be the last one. I want to be the first one, or at least be willing to be the first one for them to show up to when they have issues or they have stuff that they're going through that they want to process. I want to be a safe place for my kids. What a great way of measuring ROI, to say I'm no longer number 2 or 3 in their life to come to. I'm tied with mom for first place, to be the place that they come to when they're looking for advice, or they're looking for someone to listen, or they're looking for space to just hold whatever they're going through. So, are you willing to swallow your pride? Are you willing to do the thing you need to do to become the dad your kids need, and learn about your blind spots, learn about where you need to grow? The last executive leadership skill that I want to talk about is mindset. The most successful executives that we know, they know how to control their mind and thoughts in a way that drives the needle forward and keeps revenue pushing, keeps metrics moving in the positive direction. What are you doing in your mindset as a dad? Are you reminding yourself what is true, like we do at the beginning of every single episode? Have you developed a soundtrack for yourself as a dad to say, this is how I'm going to show up day in and day out for my kids? It's normal in business. It's normal as an entrepreneur. It's normal as someone who is high achieving and wanting to kill it at work. So why don't we do it at home? Why don't we submit ourselves to the process and say, I'm going to remind myself what is true day in, day out, morning and afternoon and evening, and say, this is what's true. I'm becoming the dad that my kids need. I'm showing up well for my kids. When they need something, they come running to me instead of running away from me. When they make a mistake, they come running to me instead of running away from me. If that's what you want in your fatherhood, speak it out loud. Do the mindset work that you do with your business, with yourself as a dad. And really, if you're already doing it in business, you already have a soundtrack that you're living by, a thing that you are aspiring to, throw in just a couple of lines into that daily anthem or that daily reset to say, what are the couple things about being a dad my kids need do I need to live into? Because when you speak it out loud and your brain hears it, your ears hear it, and you're using your whole body, what it does is you start to live into that. We see it all over the place. We know leadership coaches and speakers and teachers and all that. They know that like the way of your thoughts is the way of your life. And so how are you thinking? What is your mindset around fatherhood? Can you use that executive leadership skill of mindset to train yourself to become the dad your kids need? So today, I hope you feel empowered. I hope you understand that like it's within reach. It's right there. You could take these executive leadership skills that you've developed and you can apply them into your parenting, and it starts to not just change your life in how revenue goes and your business goes and is growing. It starts to change how you show up for yourself and how you show up for your kids. So can you adjust those expectations so your kids don't feel like it's impossible to please you? Can you adjust your mindset so that you know I'm going to show up as well as I can today for my kids, and I'm continue to have conviction to say I'm showing up well today, I'm speaking it out loud, and I'm living my life in a direction of becoming the dad my kids need? And are willing to swallow your pride, maybe hire a coach or do whatever you need to find those blind spots as a dad so that you can unlock the ROI that is immeasurable of having healthy, secure, beautiful relationships at home where trust and joy and unity on a common mission, a common goal. You're all on the same direction, just like your business should be living it at home. So I hope you feel empowered today to take some of those skills I'm sure lots of you are really, really good at and apply them to yourself as a father. We'll see you in the next episode.